In this lecture, we are going to see what is an API and webhook. I'm not introducing any technical jargons, and in simple way, in real life, using real life example, I'm going to explain APIs and webhooks. In this lecture, as I told, we are exploring some APIs and webhooks in n8 and other. You can use this logic any programming way or any other way as well. If you did not see the first lecture, then I can request to just go and check out our lecture one of. In that we can just see what is n8 and what is just basic concept of about n8. Full form of API is application programming interface. Do not worry about that full form. It's just the full form. Okay. Using real life example, you can consider as a restaurant. Okay, when you go to the restaurant and you did not go directly to the kitchen part, first you will give your whatever you want to eat or whatever you want that restaurant, you will first sit on table and waiter will come to you and you ask or you call the waiter, and waiter take your response or your order. Then your waiter that can goes to that order to the kitchen. Okay, in that is a waiter is, you can consider as an API. It will take your request and send to the kitchen. That was the backend server, and that backend server will, that kitchen will be give you the output as a result as a dish that you order. In the same way API will be work. Using API, you can send the request to the backend server, and whatever you data pass through API that you want, then according that data, it will give you response on that data. Simple. Do not go in too much complicated thing. That was simple API. Then okay, that was an API. Then why use API in n8n? That was the most important question. Okay, if why we are using the n8n APIs in n8n, as you know n8n is a no code tool, then why we require some logical concept like APIs and webhooks. Yeah, n8n is a no code platform, but every software will use to talk to communicate itself via API. Suppose I want to communicate with XYZ person. I didn't know about him. I'm not belongs to his family, and rather than okay, then how I can connect with that person? Okay, there are some way like I can call him. Suppose I got their number. Okay, their personal number, and I can got call by number, and I can communicate via number. In that same way, APIs will be used. Suppose I didn't know about the XYZ software and I want to communicate with them, then API will help us to communicate with that software. Using API, you can connect your Google Sheet, Slack, multiple softwares. And the most important thing was API requests and types of API request. If you have some idea or don't if you get know about get and post requests, these are the two requests. We use maximum type, you can call 90% time we are using the get and post method, and other types as well, delete, put, patch. Okay, don't go be worried about what is the request, how we are going to use. Don't worry, just understand the concept. And in when I'm going to in future or in next lectures, I'm practically showing how you can use get and post request or other request as well. Okay, you can simply consider as a get request. Okay, suppose you can consider as a get request to get using their word meaning to retrieve or get something from other person. Suppose I want information from any other person or any other person, then what I can call, please give me that pen. Suppose take an example, please give me that pen. In that what happen, get request will be happen to I am getting a retrieving a data from, you can consider in technical way, I can retrieve data from other softwares like Google Sheet. Suppose I want to take a data or that's why we use get request. Second, post data post sorry post request. Post will be the send the data. Suppose I want to store the message or rows information in the Google Sheet, then I can use the post request. Other types, suppose I want to delete the data, then I can use delete. Then in same way, put or patch request mainly used for to update the data. Don't worry, just be forward right now, just focus on get and post request. That will be the most important thing. Then HTTP request structure, what will be the structure? Okay, first of all, using HTTP request structure, we are sending the request via API. Okay, first of all, URL endpoint. First, to send a request, we require some URL endpoint. On that URL endpoint, we are send that request. There are some method. Okay, as we talk about the get and post methods. Okay, that are the common thing. And the third thing was headers. Okay, headers are the important thing. Additional construct. Okay, suppose in restaurant you give the order about any Manchurian, suppose, and it will just a normal order. But if you want that in header like any suppose if you want to give that do not make some spicy, do not make it spicy, like that information you can pass through the headers. Like suppose which type of data I can send, that extra information about the data, that I can pass via headers. And in headers also pass the authentication and barrier. Suppose any API, they did not want the all anyone's requests. Header, in header we can pass the authentication URL or key in that header. Fourth was body and data that to be sent. Body part will be the optional. In post method we can use mostly the body part to send the data. URLs and method. Okay, first of all, URL is an unique address for a resources. It will be the unique address on the web. Method defines like these are the methods. Okay, get, post, request, patch, put, that all are the methods. Next was headers API request. Okay, body in API request. Okay, next was body in API request. It was used mostly in post method. As we discussed, we can send data in body in post method. Okay, suppose it sometime happens, suppose response, there are, suppose you if you send the response through API, it will sometimes show the some errors. Okay, there are the hundreds of errors, but 2 3 errors are the common errors, and it will be the, you want to just know about that error code. Suppose you got the 200 code, then it will be the success. Okay, if you in response you got 200 code, then it will be the success. And if you got 401 code, then it will be the unauthorized. It means you don't have authorized, or your barrier key, or you can say authentication token will be the wrong. And if you got 500, then it will be the server issue, backend issue, then there is no fault of your, it will be the backend issue. These are the three main errors or responses from API. Okay, body contents. Okay, if sometime you can send the HTML and JSON type of data, that will be the content, the data. And next part of authentication and credential, as we discussed, we want to send API key to the via headers to get to verify ourselves. Okay, the next part was webhooks. What is webhooks? Okay, webhook is an external service. Okay, for the webhooks that we are going to see in practical way. Okay, what we are going to see right now, what we are going to say it now, what is webhooks. Clear? Okay, let's see. I'm just go to the plus node. Here I can share that webhooks, just got it here. Okay, you can see this node, this is just and webhook will be called as a API request on API. You can also call it as API. Here you can set, as we discuss about get method, delete, patch, post, get method, path, authentication, that you can create your own, you can call that your own API. You can set the authentication token. Okay, that was the webhook. It will use for some triggers and sending the data, parsing the data. Lot of requests you can send using webhooks. Clear? Types of webhooks. Okay, there are few types, mainly two types. First, pulling webhook. A pulling webhook is like to check interval. Suppose it will like, suppose in my Google Sheet I am appending the data or adding the data. It will not, it will check that every 15 minutes. We suppose we want to add a time, like just in every 15 minutes go and check is any other data will be append in the Google Sheet. That was the pulling webhook. Instant webhook, like suppose I am appending the data on in Google Sheet, it will go and check it will run the webhook or trigger our workflow immediately. That was the basic difference between pulling webhook and instant webhook. That's it about this lecture. In this lecture we are discuss about what is API and communication between APIs, webhooks, triggers, workflows. Okay, in next lecture we are going to see hands-on demo inside N10. That's it for this lecture. If you have any doubt you can ask me, and if you not join our Discord community you can definitely join, and if you have any doubt you can ask there. You can also you ask in comment. Thank you.